Councilmember Park,
Present.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Present.
Councilmember Yaroslavsky. Okay, and Ms. Rama is not going to be here today, so 3 present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Members, today we have 9 items on the agenda. Before we get to the items, let's begin by taking public comment. Mr. Clerk, please provide the public comment instructions.
Yes. For public comment, you may register over in the kiosk in the corner there. Essentially, for one item, you get 1 minute to speak. Multiple items, 2 minutes. General public comment, 1 minute. So there'll be no more than 3 minutes per speaker.
Thank you. Hakeem, will you begin public comment?
All right, we have 4 speakers in the queue. The first speaker is Herman. Herman, please come to the podium. Tell us which items you want to speak on.
Damn it.
Just hold on a second, sir. Gets his animal up there. Should have given him to you. That's just to take care of.
They don't allow children as pawns up there. I don't want my dog to be a pawn. Right. I don't want my little doggy to be a pawn.
That's where he
Mr. Spindler, come on. Just give him a moment.
Mommy?
overturned.
I'm going to speak on all items and non-agenda public comment. But the first question to ask you guys about is what the fuck is this crossing guard program? That's an automatic giver. I mean, you got LAUSD with children skipping school all the time, playing hooky, playing ditch day, like some of you have done in the past. But now we got crossing guard problems. Why can't crossing guards get bulletproof vests and maybe some bear spray to keep these goddamn fucking reckless drivers from being too fucking in an anticipated hurry to get across the goddamn road? Then we go to Engine 95. Traffic control officer in Wilmington district office. Well, it talks about signal failures and the fucking failure of that incident on Compton and Avalon on Engine 95. That fucking truck was hit like a T-boner. That thing spun around and killed those 2 fucking young people because they were said they were not racing. They were heard saying that they may have been fleeing from gangsters because LA is the hidden capital of gangster land. You know, we got one criminal down there on the CD9 district, Curran Price, talking about paying $833 for fucking rent while my dumb fucking homeless ass at one time couldn't afford rent. He should have let me live in there instead of letting that doctor and that dumb bitch he had living there for $833. Because that's an insult to the integrity of every veteran, every white motherfucker who's been homeless since Karen Bass has been in office. And then look at number 5, CD12, this fucking shit about prohibiting parking oversized vehicles. Well, what are you doing about it? What the fuck can you do about it? You got people living in fucking shelters. You got a fucked up system on vouchers, and you goddamn have ramen noodle. Yes, ramen noodle. Huh. With her new hair, flashing her ass downstairs, talking about housing, homelessness. And you white motherfuckers keep paying taxes for this same fucking beat down of shit where the money is not going to the problem. That's why a white nigger like me has to say, why does a dirty nigger like Curran Price have to be just as black as Uncle Tom, fucking Ridley Marcus Thomas? Why? And the reason is because, as one person said, so long, nigger.
Are we on topic?
And that's, yes, I am.
We're off topic.
No, sir, I'm talking about parking oversized
You've got 9
vehicles.
seconds left.
Oh, then I'll go to my non-agenda public comment.
You have
That's
spoken
asshole.
almost 3 minutes.
What's that?
You're done in.
That's your time. Thank you very much.
Non-agenda public
That's
comment.
time,
baby.
Mr.
Huh?
All right, next up we have Mr. Wayne.
Madam, what is my time up?
Your time is up,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. That's all I hear. Not from that asshole over there.
That's
Oh,
right.
here, public comment. Transfer.
Security guards.
He's not the chair. She's the chair. Why is he telling me what the fuck to do?
Goddamn chair.
Fucking redhead.
God damn it.
Yes, we will speak on all the fucking items in general comment.
3 minutes.
That's right. And thank you. Number 5, in the 12th district, we do not allow this nigger behavior. Putting these oversized vehicles, we call them RVs, in those white neighborhoods. Now, Ulysses won't do this. She likes to sit there and allow the terrorists to take over the streets. And we have 294 photos to prove it. Yes, that's right. But in the CD11, also, they don't allow it either. The only people that tolerate it are in the ghetto and people that refuse to learn English as a first language. That's why you want translators, so you keep people stupid. You have to keep people smart. And then we have a lot of other bullshit here. Transit marketing services. I have a transit marketing service. Why am I paying $5.50 for a gallon of fucking gas that they're paying $2.25 for in Oklahoma? Why? Because of you thieving politicians filling your pockets. Yum, 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 yum. That's why. It's the same goddamn fucking gas. Summer Blend is the same blend. Why are we paying double? And why won't Tracy Park lower the gas prices like she promised? Miss Economics, why are we paying so much money for gas? Why? That's right. No answers. That's right. How about you, Mr. City Attorney? Did you tell them to take the 5th? Because the refineries are colluding prices. Just look on gasbuddy.com. As soon as you're outside the city, it drops 50 cents a gallon outside of the city limits.
I'm sorry, I don't
That's
see where
right.
you're on top.
It's on Transportation Nigger number 1, 4, and 6. You have to put that gas in the container and into the vehicle, or you can't drive. That's right. So now we're on the general public comment. You know, the reason you're here, Madam Chair, is because you had a vacancy filled by Mark Ridley No Name, who ran for seat knowing he was in big legal trouble, and he fucked 250,000 voters. And then you were put in by Herb Wesson as a chief of staff, and then you were put in by that white fucking nigger named Paul Martin Krikorian, and there's not going to be any election until December 2024 in the 10th district. Now, does that sound fair? No. And what's Curran Price doing on the commission? Again, he drove himself to the misery because he did something nobody should do. Never marry a younger woman than yourself. You will get fucked every time.
Next up, we have Greenspan.
Yeah, he's coming. He'll be here in about 35 minutes.
Next up, we have Red Chief.
He'll be here in about 40
We have no more
not 41.
no more members on public comment. Public comment is now closed.
Thank you. Now that we've concluded public comment, I'd like to close public comment. Mr. Clerk, let's jump onto our agenda.
Very good.
I'd like to take up the non-controversial items. Those items would be 1 through 4. Mr. Clerk, please read items 1 through 4.
Okay, item number 1, Los Angeles Department of Transportation report relative to multimodal infrastructure in Council District 13. Item 2, LADOT report relative to requesting authorization to release a request for proposals for the provision of transit marketing services. Item 3, LADOT report and resolution relative to authority to accept the annual allocations of SB1 State Transit Assistance Funds for fiscal years 2017-18, 2018-19, 2020-21, 2021-22, and 2023-24. And item 4, adopted budget recommendation relative to resources needed to adequately staff the traffic control officers at the Wilmington District Office related to equipment and signal failures.
Ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Does any member wish to discuss items 1 through 4? No? Seeing none, then on item 1, I recommend we note and file the DOT report. On item 2, I recommend we approve the DOT request to release an RFP for transit marketing services. On item 3, I recommend we adopt the DOT report and Caltrans resolution. And on item 4, I recommend we adopt the item and instruct DOT to provide a written report within 30 days. Members, on these items, I ask for your aye vote. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Hutt,
Aye.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Very good. Those items are approved.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to take up item number 5. Mr. Clerk, please read item number 5.
Item 5, Resolution Lee McOsker relative to prohibiting the parking of oversized vehicles between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. on both sides of Woodlake Avenue between Sherman Way and Sherman Place.
Thank you. Does any member wish to discuss item 5? Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman. Colleagues, in August, the council approved my motion asking for a report on oversized vehicle parking restrictions throughout the city so we can assess what is working and what isn't. Until the report comes back, I don't feel like I have enough information to know whether approving OVOs is a practical, effective measure. For that reason, I'll be voting no on this item today. Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Park?
Nothing.
None from you. On item 5, I recommend we adopt the resolution. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Hutt, Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez.
No.
Very good. Okay, that matter is approved.
Thank you. Now that we have taken care of those things, let's move on to item number 6. Mr. Clerk, please read item number 6.
Yes. General Manager, LADOT, to present verbal report relative to the department's ongoing projects and programs, transit services offered by the department, the state of mobility for pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles within the city of Los Angeles, and recognition of LADOT employees for outstanding service.
Thank you. I'd like to ask our outgoing General Manager, DOT, Connie Llanos, to come to the table to give us her report and tell us about some people doing great work to keep Los Angeles moving. I didn't even see you. I was like, didn't you see? Your hair's different. Thank you.
Thank you. Had to pull it back, you know, one of those days.
I
hair
swear
back.
I was, didn't you see me?
I am so excited to be here today to recognize what collectively is more than 100 years of city institutional knowledge that LADOT has benefited from so greatly. So I'm going to kick us off by recognizing Jennifer Ware, Senior Management Analyst. Jennifer, do you want to take a seat? You can come take a seat next to me, Jennifer. Jennifer has worked for the city for 20 years. She started her city career as a clerk typist with LADOT, and she has never looked back. Jennifer was first promoted to management assistant, then management analyst, and now she is a senior management analyst supporting our field division, and we are so grateful to have you, Jennifer. Ms. Ware clearly understands the structure and operations of the various city departments, having worked in more than 9 departments over her time with the city. That includes police, engineering, sanitation, aging, street lighting, water and power, and of course, LADOT. Jennifer rejoined LADOT just over a year ago, and in that time, she's made a tremendous difference. Her duties include working with contracts, procurement, budget, personnel, and a slew of other administrative tasks that actually help us deliver the concrete treatments that you all see. She has a quiet demeanor, but she performs at an incredibly high level, and her colleagues have all commented on how fortunate they are to have such a warm and positive spirit working for them and with them, noting how nimble, knowledgeable, and easy she is to work with. Jennifer, congratulations again on your dedication and your outstanding contributions to LADOT and the city. We literally could not get our work done without you. Thank you. You are an outstanding performer. And And the next three folks that I'm going to be recognizing are all retirees of LADOT. So this is extra special for us. I'm going to kick us off with Mr. Roy Kim, Senior Transportation Engineer. Roy, are you with us? Roy is retiring after 35 beautiful, fun, exciting years with the Department of Transportation. He has served in numerous functions, including geometric design, long-term transportation planning, 3 years in our central district, 3 years in the Metro Rail section, and then an incredible 24 years in district operations, which is some of the most community-facing divisions of our department. While in the Metro Rail section, Roy was instrumental in leading the department's involvement in the construction of the Metro B line, or as we old schoolers like to call it, the Red Line, from downtown to North Hollywood. Roy has incredible writing skills and has provided very important litigation support countless times. Roy is known for his quiet and laid-back demeanor while being an incredibly strong mentor and leader. I can attest to that. His team is always speaking incredibly highly of how much he helps develop their skills. He's also known for having impeccable hair. This was provided by your team, Roy, although I agree it's great. You enjoy, Roy, hopefully you'll get a chance to do more of this. Travel, golf, hiking, fishing, skiing, good food, and maybe even the occasional good scotch. So thank you very much for your 35 years, Roy. I'm going to try and keep it moving here. Our next honoree today is Michael Hunt, Senior Transportation Engineer. Michael Hunt is retiring from public service with more than 32 years with the city, starting his career in 1991 with the Bureau of Street Lighting as a street lighting engineering assistant. He moved to LA from the most northeastern state in our country, Maine. This was his first job. After roughly 10 years of service with the Bureau of Street Lighting, Michael brought his talents to DOT, where he's been working ever since. His career highlights include managing DOT's involvement with the Orange Line. I don't have the letter here, so like I said, I'm old school. I call them by the colors, so I can't remember the letters for the life of me. And he most recently managed a team of approximately 25 engineers, student professionals, and management analysts that are responsible for dozens of grant-funded projects totaling almost $300 million. Aside from being a wonderful DOT leader on project delivery, Michael has also always been a tremendous champion for the rights of his colleagues. He's been an invaluable union steward and played a major role in our most recent MOU negotiations. Michael, your shoes will be nearly impossible to fill, but we are so grateful for the years of service that you've offered us, and we wish you nothing but the best. I hear here that you'll be planning to devote your time taking care of your mother and fulfilling some of her bucket list travel goals, which sounds really exciting, as well as also spending more time with your wife, Eileen, and your daughter, Andrea, who is on her way to college. Congratulations. Again, Michael, we thank you for your leadership and mentorship and for your tireless efforts here at LADOT. Thank you so much. Next, Eddie Guerrero, Senior Transportation Engineer. Eddie, come on up. Eddie, you're like the baby of the group, huh? Retiring after just 29 years of public service, just 29 years. But Eddie has spent his entire career with LADOT. What a gift that has been. Eddie finishes his city career as the division manager in charge of the development review activities for the central, West Los Angeles, and coastal areas of our city. His team includes engineers at the Westchester Municipal Building, the Downtown Development Service Center at Fig Plaza, and the Central Environmental Review Team at LADOT headquarters. During his career, Eddie led the team that coordinates with Metro, LAWA, Department of Public Works, City Planning, and Caltrans to ensure that infrastructure projects are aligned with the city's safety and mobility goals. Eddie guided many applicants through the city's building permit process. Many times he had to answer my emails when I would get the questions directly and would need Eddie's help in untangling and help to streamline the city's development review process. Eddie was also a lead engineer in several citywide planning efforts, including the West LA and coastal transportation mitigation plans, the city's transition to VMT analysis, and the updated TDM ordinance. Throughout his career, Eddie has served as an example to his peers. He's enthusiastically pursued opportunities to mentor his colleagues and enjoyed supporting the next generation of LADOT employees. He's helped us create a working environment for his team that's centered around trust, professional development, problem solving, and team building, which are incredibly important and valuable principles at LADOT. His commitment exemplifies our core values of creativity, fulfillment, accountability, and integrity. Eddie's legacy also includes never shying away from a good karaoke night or singing the national anthem at LADOT Dodgers softball games. Thank you, Eddie, so much for your service. You will be missed.
Ms. Llanos, do we want to have the honorees come up and take a
That would be
picture really
fantastic, yes,
fast?
and I would welcome if you all would like to take that
Love
picture
that.
with them. Great.
And whoever else wants to come out, we'll go out of protocol. What do I do, Mr. Clerk? Suspend for a second for pictures?
No, just do it on the record.
On record. Record taking the picture.
That's fine.
Yeah, is that okay?
I think, so, yeah, just watch the cord.
Where would you like us? Facing this one? Great. We get the honorees right here in the middle. You are.
This way.
Can I just say, I think it's super sweet and super cool that there's a bunch of DOT staff here and it doesn't feel like they're forced to be here, but like that y'all want to be here. I just think that's just awesome. And I hope that other departments also have some of that camaraderie because it's really good to see in the building. Thank you.
And just real quick before our DOT honorees leave, I had a few things I wanted to add as well. Jennifer, Ms. Ware, I am really glad to know you are not leaving DOT and that your institutional knowledge will remain. Roy, Michael, and Eddie, it really is a tremendous loss in so many ways to the city to lose your collective years of experience, wisdom, and knowledge. And I think it's an important reminder to how important it is that we invest in the retention and development of long-term employees so that we can see this work through over subsequent decades. I also want to say, Eddie, since I know that you are a constituent of mine, congratulations, and I hope that we can catch up at a karaoke night on the West Side soon. And Connie, there you are in the front. I just wanted to say in the few short months that I have been in office, getting to know you and getting to work with you has been an honor and a privilege. Your vision, your leadership are remarkable. And so I just wanted to personally say that to you on the, as well. Everyone, thank you. And thank you for this beautiful presentation today.
Thank you. Connie, thank you for all you've done to keep LA moving. It's been an honor to work with you. We're not supposed to get all mushy. I mean, we hardcore transportation people, but we certainly appreciate your many years of service. And for everyone else that was acknowledged today, uh, it feels good to be at a place where people are acknowledged for 20 years, 29 years, 35 years, and you're still smiling. That gives us,
That gives me hope.
that gives us all hope. So we know you're proud of the work you've done. We are proud of the work you've done, and we appreciate you being here for this just small token of appreciation. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Chairwoman, can I add too? Thank you. Yes, thank you so much to all of you who have dedicated decades of your life to making sure that the city runs effectively, especially in our Department of Transportation. And the smile piece, like I do want to reiterate, that gives me hope, but also hope that if we need you to share some information, that we can call on you in the future to help pass more of that baton information so that we can keep moving in a better direction for our city, so we don't lose everything that y'all have built and all that knowledge and experience. So just know we're probably gonna tap on y'all. But you know, like I said earlier, the camaraderie piece, like Connie, I see how you run. Like I see myself a lot in you, and I just really appreciate everything you've done to get the Department of Transportation to this point. Y'all have done so much for our district in the short amount of time that we have been in relationship with each other, and I'm so grateful for that, because people have been dying, people have been getting their bodies broken, and the stuff that y'all have done for us in such a quick amount of time has saved lives truly. And so all DOT but Connie, thank you, and I hope you stick around because we need you. And it might not be DOT, but we need you and your vision and the way that you're able to bring people together, because we can never do nothing by ourselves. It always requires a team, and you have built a really phenomenal team. And I love working with y'all. I love working with you. And you know, we got your back. And this is just one piece, but we're going to come back and give you the flowers that you most deserve
Absolutely.
at all levels. And but you know, I don't ever like this right here, even bringing in people in is just awesome to recognize, so people don't get lost in this huge bureaucracy. Like this is so special. Decades, 3 decades of investment in one place. Truly grateful for y'all. Truly grateful for you, Connie, for uplifting them, but also the energy you have brought to this department.
That's right. And you know, for the people, you all are the people that make Los Angeles better. You know, you hear us talk about it as council with people. We have to make it better. We have to make it better. But you are the people that make it better. So thank you. Now I got to go back to work, right?
Madam Chair, before
Yes.
we move on, in regard to item 5, because of the 1 no vote and 2 members absent, that will come as a no recommendation from the committee to council.
Understood. Thank you.
Very good.
Let's get moving on to the next items, Mr. Clerk.
Yes.
Can you read items 7 and 8 together, please?
Sure. Item number 7, adopted budget recommendation at LADOT to report relative to additional resources that will be needed to supplement the existing 596 crossing guards. Item 8, joint LADOT and Personnel Department report relative to the status of the crossing guard program and expedited hiring. This matter was heard in the Personnel Audits, Hiring and Transportation Committee, or Hiring Committee yesterday.
Thank you. I would like to ask the DOT to come to the table and present their report.
Good afternoon. Before we begin, I just want to take a brief moment as a current employee to recognize Connie for all her leadership and support over her tenure here. Thank you very much. And don't let the crocodile tears fool you. She's quite tough. Good afternoon. My name is Richard Ray. I'm a deputy chief with Department of Transportation Park Enforcement, and I oversee the crossing guard program as one of my responsibilities. Today, not knowing exactly where to begin in this report back because there's quite a plethora of information that's in-house here. I'm open to questions, and I would like to introduce my counterpart here from personnel.
Thank you. My name is Elva Pale. I'm the Personnel Director overseeing LADOT, and I'm representing Personnel Department. and here to answer any questions you have on crossing guard hiring.
Excellent. I'd like to start by asking a few questions. The first one is, what's the process for requesting a crossing guard location?
I'll take it. So generally what happens is a request may derive from several different individuals, and they funnel through the school itself, through the principal, and then to the department in LA Unified through OEHS. And then that is sent over to the Department of Transportation, both the parking enforcement representative, which is a lieutenant, as well as our engineering district engineer, to evaluate that request and rank it. And then a letter is sent back to the requesting party indicating the viability of whether or not a guard can be placed at this time, as well as any potential treatments of the surrounding area that may offset some of the concerns.
Thank you. Another question is, why does it take the personnel department 30 to 75 days to complete the hiring process? And when DOT can handle most of the work in just about a couple of weeks or even less?
Sure, I'll handle that. The 30 to 75 days applies specifically to the period of time after interviews are completed for the crossing guard candidates to the place and time where it lands with us for scheduling of medical fingerboarding of the crossing guard. Some of those steps may take longer than others, such as the background piece and the medical piece. There's the possibility that there might be a 30-day delay in the background piece. There might be delays also in medical, depending on any information medical services needs to request of the candidate. And so the best case scenario is that we can complete hiring and onboarding and have the person on payroll within the 30 days, but accounting for those unusual circumstances that may take a little bit longer and are candidate driven, particularly in the medical services part, that will account for the 75 days.
And what can be done to make some of these positions full-time?
We're currently engaged in discussions with the Teamsters Union that represent the crossing guards regarding the possibility of doing just that. Thank you. And at this point, it's specifically to the lead guard position. Of the 452 guards we currently have, there are approximately 22 that are leads. That discussion is predicated on the fact that, unfortunately, over the last several budget sessions, we have been unable to backfill some of our lost clerical positions. So these guards have assisted us in filling in during this shortage, so to speak, and helping us. However, I would note that the primary responsibility of the lead guards is in the field to oversee and help direct the guards at the locations. And by design, their assignment isn't necessarily administrative in the office. So it's a viable option, but it's not necessarily the best.
Why don't we have crossing guards at every elementary school in the city?
One more time?
Why don't we have crossing guards at every elementary school in the city?
Well, the program itself is based on request. To that point, with there being over 800 plus elementary schools within the city, and each school can request not one or two, but possibly multiple locations in their proximity, and each of those intersections, so to speak, or assignments may require more than one guard. So as you can see, if you did the math, 800 times whatnot, we would be not only exhausted resources, which we are already at, just trying to fill the 600 requests we have right now. Right now we have a maximum budget allocation of 596, and we're currently staffed at 452, which is tremendous given the fact that 5 years ago we were at 250. So while we're working aggressively to hire and coordinate with personnel to shorten this hiring process, the asks, if you will, has increased parallel to our hiring. So with that, we've we've developed a process, a methodology to rank the locations to ensure that those with greatest need and concerns for safety and or liability are being staffed first versus a first come, first served basis, so to speak.
And this is my last question then, colleagues. How are crossing guards identified, hired, and paid for outside the city of Los Angeles, like so for Carson, Lomita, San Fernando?
I can't really speak to outside agencies. I haven't really made myself familiar with their process as to their hiring procedures.
So those are not city employees in the LAUSDs that are in those cities, right?
Those other cities,
Right, but there are LAUSD schools in Carson. Are those city employees that are crossing guards at that school?
if it's within the city, they're city employees. I'm not sure I understood your question. I apologize, but like the city of San Fernando is its own city.
Correct.
And Carson, so if it's not in LA city boundaries, we would not staff them.
Okay, even though it's a LAUSD school.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you, colleague.
And to that point, there are I think over 900 plus elementary schools in the county where we're only city. We only handle the 800.
But that's LACO. I'm talking about LAUSD schools.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Yes, my question is around the process, the 70 days or however long it takes. I've heard from other departments that there are expediting processes. Like, for example, I heard that if someone is from out of state, they can arrange to do all of their appointments in one day or all the hiring process in one day to expedite that process. Is this process that you talk about, the medical and all these other things, is that rigid? Or can we explore, I mean, especially if these are part-time jobs and we're having people go to like 5 appointments, that's a lot for a part-time job. I would not hop through many hoops. I would not hop through as many hoops if it's a part-time job. And so just even starting there, is there a way that we can refine this process so it's like one day we make an appointment for one day and we got all these services lined up to get these boxes checked off?
Yes, that is definitely something we've already started working with those sections on to try to schedule medical fingerprints all back to back to back for someone to avoid the back and forth trips and make it easier.
Mhm.
So we are working in conjunction with Medical Services Division and the Backgrounds Unit to try to get that done.
Great. What's the status of that? What does that look like in practice?
Well, the appointments are self-scheduled, but we can reach out to those units and let them know that we have X number of people that we anticipate and we want them to start by a certain date. And they have made themselves amenable to blocking out those periods on a schedule, so those people can schedule themselves. We have done that for other classifications already, and it's worked. And so we anticipate that this is going to only make our hiring process quicker. It's already started and we've already seen a really positive effect already. As an example, so far this fiscal year, from the beginning of the school year that started August 11th, I think, we've already been able to hire 36 crossing guards. And our internal goal is 30 in the first 60 days. So if you consider that we haven't seen the first month go by yet, we should be able to see some quick hiring and higher numbers as a result of different things, but that is definitely a piece of that, is the being able to schedule the appointments quicker and consecutively.
Great. Got it. Thank you.
No more questions?
I forgot my other one. Thank you.
Yes, please, Councilmember Park.
So thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the Personnel Department and DOT for partnering on this report and focusing especially on some of the hiring challenges. I know that it is extremely important to the chair of this committee and to Councilmember Hernandez, and it is to me too, that we address some of the recruitment procedures so that we can help speed up and fill vacancies. And so a couple of questions just generally. I noticed in the report that it said that applications could be filled out at local parking enforcement district offices.
That's great.
Can people also apply online? Or do they have to figure out where a local parking office is to go
No,
apply?
they can fill it out online and email it in.
Okay,
However, the next step to the point of trying to expedite it, we can in-person review it, schedule their interview and move forward as quickly as possible. And we try to do that in groups of, so many people at once. But there are other ways for them to simply go into personnel and whatnot. So there isn't one method to apply, so to speak.
Okay.
There are a variety of options.
Okay, good to know. So one of the other things that I noticed in the report was that background checks sometimes can be delayed due to poor fingerprint quality. What's causing that issue? It seems like something that we should be able to take some simple steps to fix, right?
Yes, we have someone from that section here that's able to speak to that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, Chair and Committee. My name is Shannon Cherry. I'm a Senior Personnel Analyst over in the Candidate and Employment Record Services section, and we have the background unit where we conduct live scans. So sometimes the issue with the images, the prints, could be just a person's unique, handprints. We try to do our best when we're rolling to fingerprint on the live scan device to capture, the best images. And we may have someone, we ask that they go and wash their hands and come back, and we'll keep trying to roll for the best images. Once we submit the images over to the DOJ, it's, up to that department to analyze those prints. And if for some reason they are not able to get a read, then there could be a delay.
How long?
What other aspects of the recruitment process are being handled online for these crossing guards?
To my knowledge, there is no other aspect online. There is a back and forth with the applicant regarding filling out the application, as well as providing references that are followed up on at a later date, the interactive interview that takes place. I'm not aware of any other online portion other than after the hiring.
Are they required to test?
No.
One of the strategies we've seen some other cities use is to put as many things online as possible. It sounds like you're already doing that. So just another quick question, but when we are recruiting for these positions, can you just walk me through what does a recruitment campaign look like? Where are you locating potential applicants? Are you looking for people who live in the neighborhoods where these jobs are going to be available?
We don't necessarily identify it that way. However, it is more advantageous for an individual that lives within the district that they choose to work. It goes without saying, this is not a high-paying job, and to be driving across the city for a 3-hour shift isn't very advantageous. That being said, we do post online. It's on the website. It's on Personnel's website. We do it at universities, schools. We've had job fairs throughout the council district and whatnot. We're open to additional. We've had success with that. I would point out, as I indicated previously, while it would seem that we're not hiring fast enough, we're actually at a very accelerated rate. And I have to give credit to my team that has done an exceptional job of taking on additional responsibilities to make this happen, along with partnering with personnel, because without it, we would really be struggling. Like I indicated, 5 years ago, we were at 250. So you're looking at 200 that were brought in the last 5 years. And I believe last fiscal year was 77. And we're at pace to hit that, if not more.
It does seem like you're making some good progress on that. So thank you for that. And I'm glad to hear that you are recruiting in, local colleges and other campuses. Seems like that would be a great spot to find folks that are looking for shorter shift, limited opportunity positions.
Traditionally, the employees come from the retirement community or the students.
Great. One final question. I was surprised to read that crossing guard assignments are not informed by crash data when other programs like Vision Zero are built around traffic fatalities. Doesn't it make sense to possibly have one standardized methodology?
Good afternoon. Dan Mitchell, Assistant General Manager for Project Delivery and Operations. Thank you for the opportunity to address that. So clearly, our strategy for prioritizing crossing guard locations is data-driven, but we haven't found that crash history is a good indication of the exposure of risk to the children that are crossing. We haven't in the past identified that those crashes reflect a pattern that's predictable. If there is a pattern, then we address that through safety improvements, but not through crossing guards to make up for that. So instead, our methodology identifies the number of children crossing, the speed limit, the number of lanes people have to cross, and whether there's a stop sign or a traffic signal. And the collection of those data points indicates, the potential for crashes for our children crossing, and therefore the highest priority for deploying crossing guards.
Gotcha. That makes sense in that context. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any further questions? We have
Thank
one
you.
more.
Yes, thank you, Chairwoman. Question around the hiring fairs. One, putting it out in the universe. I'd love to do one in CD1. But two, what is the process at these hiring fairs? Is there ever like offers made on the spot or contingent offers made? Like, or is it like, thanks for applying, we'll hit you up in 2 weeks? What does that look like? And are the materials in various languages? Because I know I got a lot of parents who would love to work at their child's school to help cross the kids, but they're probably monolingual Spanish speakers or monolingual Cantonese speakers. So just wanting to know that as well.
I do know that our job opportunity notice is in Spanish and English when it's distributed. Just to tag on what Deputy Chief Ray said earlier, in addition to the sites that he said we've been working with to post the opportunities, we've also been working with the library department, all of their branches, rec and parks, all of their rec centers. So our reach has become even bigger to be able to reach more of a candidate pool. And yes, we did make sure that all the distribution included Spanish language in addition to the English language job opportunity notice.
Great.
Regarding your question on the job fairs, we recently had a job fair not too long ago, maybe a month and a half to 2 months ago, and we did recruit or interview crossing guards, and we DC Ray can speak to whether conditional job offers were made.
I don't have the number in front of me, but I can say that to your point of trying to expedite the process, the applicants were on filled out the application, reviewed, they subjected to the interview process immediately, and then there was a live scan on site so that could be done as well. So it did help expedite the process overall. I apologize. I want to say there was in the neighborhood of 20 applicants that ultimately came out of that. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're interviewing a great deal of people,
it's a lot.
Anyone is.
We also had medical services there present, so the advantage there was that we had everybody in one room, so the candidate could hit their interview, their medical, everything, and then leave there with an appointment in hand and their prints already rolled. So the hope is that we can continue to have situations like that, job fairs like that, and attract people in and have them processed in one day to continue expediting the process.
Well, I'm down, so there's the next one. What about these crossing guard leaders, or what did you call them? Leads. Yes. So that I from my understanding, they're doing different type of work, admin related work, right?
Correct.
What's the plan to release them from that to be back to crossing guard leads?
Well, that would be contingent upon the potential increase of the overall budget to support the additional staff and support that we actually, it's more than just clerks. The growth of this program has been exponential, and our supervisory capacity as well as analytical and or clerical is zero. So while we have some, the clerical right now, there are no clerks assigned to this program. We have no management analysts to support a variety of different tasks. and the supervisory, the captain that is overseeing this program, which is citywide, 400 plus employees, is doing this as a split duty also overseeing in a parking enforcement office. So as you can imagine, having that dual responsibility limits the focus and attention to one or the other at any given moment. So there will be some forthcoming asks to increase our both support and supervisor capacities.
I look forward to seeing that because the letters are due this month, right? The budget letters. I think we all know that's happening. So
That was a hint, ma'am.
well, let's put it out there because we can't keep beating around the bush when we talk about public safety and the safety of our kids and families. We all want people to be able to go to school and come back home safely. So I just want to uplift that because I know we're going to be tight on the budget, but this is really important. So thank you for that clarity on that.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you. Are there any objections to note and filing items 7 and 8, colleagues? And instructing DOT to report on the methodology used for prioritizing requests and identifying locations for the deployment of crossing guards? No? Okay. So, Mr. Clerk, you want to take a voice vote on the amended action?
Yes, just for clarification, which particular item is the additional instruction on the methodology going to be attached to?
8.
Okay.
Or 7.
Okay.
8.
Very good. On item 8. Okay, Councilmember Hutt.
My lawyer said yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
And Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we can move on to item number 9.
Item 9, LADOT report relative to the Vision Zero implementation strategy for 2023.
Thank you. I'd like to ask DOT to come to the table and present their report.
Thank you. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Lamise Chang. I'm a supervising transportation planner with LADOT. And I'm going to give a presentation on our Vision Zero accomplishments and provide an overview of our work plan. But if you don't mind, I'd like to start with some helpful background on the Vision Zero program at LADOT. In 2015, former Mayor Eric Garcetti established Executive Directive Number 10 to establish the Vision Zero initiative, declaring safety to be the #1 goal in designing and building our streets and sidewalks. The goal of the initiative was to eliminate traffic deaths in the city of Los Angeles by 2025. Following this directive, LADOT developed the city's High Injury Network, or HIN, to identify the streets with the highest rates of traffic deaths and serious injuries. The HIN is currently comprised of 509 miles of city streets. 60% of the HIN falls within disadvantaged areas. Thus, by making pedestrian and bicycle safety improvements on corridors and intersections on the HIN, LADOT is able to serve a significant portion of people who walk and bike in these high-needs communities. Within the HIN, LADOT identifies priority corridors to guide its work plan. The LA City Council adopted priority corridor lists in 2017, 2019, and 2021. Recognizing that some of the locations with the worst collision history are singular intersections and not entire corridors, Council also adopted priority intersections in 2019 and 2021. At this time, there are a total of 71 priority corridors and 90 priority intersections. LADOT's goal is to improve safety on our roadways for the most vulnerable, using best practices in street design and other investments in the public right-of-way to reduce injury and loss of life when crashes occur. LADOT plans and implements multiple phases of safety treatments on the HIN. Phase 1 improvements include upgrades to striping and signage that could be implemented relatively quickly using low-cost materials, such as new crosswalk striping and intersection tightening. Phase 2 involves adding new signals, upgrading existing signals, and making changes to signal timing. These improvements typically require more capital infrastructure and funding and are planned and implemented on all priority corridors as funding becomes available. Beyond these individual treatments, LADOT also plans and implements corridor-level street redesign projects to improve driver behavior and safety. These holistic projects require significant planning, design, and community engagement to deliver. Phase 3 involves building out safety improvements with concrete, often incorporating other streetscape elements at the same time. Phase 3 projects typically require dedicated funding beyond the Vision Zero program, whether through things like the Complete Streets program or state and federal grants. In 2022, 312 people were killed in car crashes in Los Angeles, and 1,517 were seriously injured. These deaths and life-altering injuries are preventable consequences of unsafe driving behavior, fueled by increases in speeding and distracted driving behind the wheel of increasingly bigger vehicles. Every LADOT safety project and treatment is designed to account for this behavior by reducing excessive speeding and reducing conflict points between vehicles and other street users. Initial data shows that where LADOT has made these investments, safety conditions have improved, including on Avalon Boulevard, where we have seen a noticeable reduction in speeding after reconfiguring the travel lanes along this corridor in 2020. To look into this deeper, this year we launched the Vision Zero Safety Study, a new contract that involves a variety of data analysis tasks that will shed light on where the Vision Zero program should focus investments and what tools LADOT should be using in order to best achieve its safety goals. The study will look back on the effectiveness of the various types of treatments and corridor projects that we have implemented so far in terms of crash reduction as well as speeding and other metrics. The study will also result in an updated HIN and priority corridors, which will take into account more recent collision data alongside other roadway characteristics to identify where safety needs are currently the greatest. And finally, the study will include a systemic safety analysis, which will help us be more proactive by identifying patterns and factors in the physical condition of streets that result in crashes so that we can act even before a crash pattern emerges. Separate from the Vision Zero safety study, the CAO recently commissioned an independent valuation of the city's Vision Zero program. This evaluation will be looking at the program as a whole, including the organizational structure, processes, and outcomes. At this time, I want to highlight a few of the major accomplishments of the Vision Zero program in the past year, in particular in 2022. In 2022, LADOT was able to apply the recent legislation to reduce speed limits on 177 miles of city streets, including 28 segments on the HIN. Reducing speeds by just 5 miles per hour can significantly improve outcomes when crashes occur. We've also been very busy installing safety treatments on the priority corridors across the HIN. Since 2017, LADOT has installed nearly 7,000 safety treatments on this network, including 443 in 2022. DOT has also installed 17 miles of safer lane reconfigurations, including 2 miles on Anaheim Street in Wilmington, which wrapped up construction earlier this year in 2023. Through the collaboration with the Bureau of Engineering, we have made significant progress towards a safer Reseda Boulevard. The $19.5 million project has been under construction since 2020 and will be wrapping up this fall. Additionally, we have continued to work with BOE and Streets LA to install concrete medians and curb ramps to facilitate safer crossings across the priority corridors. And finally, I want to highlight that in collaboration with our public works partners, we have been successful in securing over $100 million in grant funding to pay for bicycle and pedestrian safety improvements, as well as streetscape upgrades on 4 different Vision Zero priority corridors. Looking ahead, this year we are dedicated to continuing work towards safer lane configurations on our streets, reallocating travel lanes to calm traffic, slow speeds, and provide opportunities for improved pedestrian and bicycle safety and comfort. Our goal is to develop at least 2 lane reconfiguration projects this year with a plan to implement them in 2024. We are also continuing the pace of designing and installing critical new signals, signal upgrades, and pedestrian beacons. 33 of these projects will be installed in 2023, and by the end of this year, we will also have completed design on 61 additional signal projects, with construction anticipated in the following year. And this year, we are also focusing on safety on neighborhood streets for the most vulnerable road users. This includes an emphasis on safety around schools, where we have started to implement new speed limit reductions, speed humps, and quick build curb extensions to get drivers to slow down in areas where families and children are frequently walking. We have also recently launched the Safe Routes for Seniors effort to identify improvements to our streets to allow older adults to travel safely within their communities. And finally, this year we are focusing on a number of new strategies to advance our work, including removing peak hour lanes on streets that no longer need the additional vehicle capacity, developing guidelines for applying speed tables on the HIN, and using new video analytics to assess conflicts and collision risks at intersections before severe or fatal crashes occur. So in closing, I want to acknowledge the dedication of the entire Vision Zero team, field crews, all our partner agencies, and advocates in the community, and our city leaders, of course. We are determined to meet the need for transformational safety improvements in Los Angeles, and will continue to expand our toolbox to work towards the elimination of traffic-related fatalities in the city. So we're here to answer your questions and address any concerns you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have to say I'm a little excited about Safe Routes for Seniors. I looked it up as you. I was like, wait a minute, I need to put this on my website so that folks can know that there's a better way and they won't be so nervous about being outside. I have a couple of questions, just a couple. How much are we spending on Vision Zero projects in a fiscal year?
To answer that question is a bit complicated, so we're happy to get back to you on that with the exact numbers and the breakdown if we consult with our accounting group. But for reference, our Vision Zero annual budget is approximately $32 million. So if that gives you a sense.
Yeah, that's great. And then my next question is, how many vacancies are there on the Vision Zero team, and what's the average timeline for hiring?
I can answer the question. Pamela Lee, Supervising Transportation Planner. I oversee Vision Zero and Active Transportation Divisions at LADOT. Right now, our Vision Zero team is completely full. We have no vacancies at the moment, and so we're really excited that we're able to go full steam right now.
Never heard that before.
Right.
I know. it's a great,
Literally never heard it.
it's a wonderful place to be right now in LADOT.
Oh, that's awesome. Colleagues, do you have any questions?
I have a couple.
Sure.
The report mentioned that we've seen speed reductions along some of the Vision Zero corridors, but have we also seen a reduction in crashes and fatalities?
Yes, that is something that we're definitely very much in the midst of analyzing right now. The thing with looking at the reduction in severe injuries and fatalities is that we need enough years of data post-project to be able to see a trend. We also need to have some time, we have to address the lag time for the data to get to us in terms of crashes. So we're not really seeing what the patterns are until a certain time period after they occur. And then we want to have, ideally like 5 years, approximately 5 years of crash data to be able to say that this is now a new pattern of reduced crashes. So that answers your question generally, I hope. We are definitely very, like I said, in the midst of doing this through our current contract with the Vision Zero Safety Study. We're looking back at several corridors where we have made significant improvements several years ago and looking at the crash rates, and we'll be able to report back on that in the future.
All right, well, if we're going to hit our goal of 0 fatalities by 2025, we have a lot of work to do.
Yes, we do.
Okay. One question, and I'm not sure if you can answer this because I understand that different treatments may have different levels of effectiveness depending on what they are or where they are, but have we found that there are certain safety treatments of those that we've described and talked about today are more effective and better investments than some other things that we've tried that maybe weren't as successful as we thought they might have been.
I can take a stab at that and maybe you can add in. So I think we've seen some treatments in certain areas, especially when we see a certain trend of a pattern, like a pedestrian fatality or certain collisions, where certain treatments do make more sense. We were just talking about it this afternoon, that maybe a right turn on red, where we're seeing a lot of pedestrians get hit, is a better and effective way of reducing those types of collisions. And so the safety study that we're looking at is looking at those series of treatments and helping us pinpoint what kind of crashes and pairing them up to see the effectiveness of those things. So yes, we are seeing those patterns, and kind of through the industry, there are some treatments, engineering treatments that do address very specific types of crashes, left turn, yielding, and things like that. So we have that general understanding, but every street is very different in Los Angeles, and
Right.
so it takes an analysis of that specific corridor to make sure that we put in the right treatment.
And do you guys work with risk management in terms of looking at past history of liability claims against the city to influence how we're identifying priority locations and different types of safety treatments?
I mean, we have general guidelines that risk management has been a part of that include our reconfiguration guidelines as well as just our engineering standards. And so they've been involved in that, but we lean on those standards only as our guidance. And so in that way, the risk management does kind of cover just our engineering practice. We don't really stray out of it. We're, kind of the only experimental treatments right now are data-based, looking at what we talked about, the micro traffic or video analytics, where we can kind of anticipate a crash pattern before it happens. But I think really our engineering practices are covered by our guidance that we lean on as a department as a whole.
Because I would just say on the liability side, there may be some opportunity there to look at patterns or for patterns.
Sure.
I think we see some of that
Yes.
on the liability side. So to the extent that can be integrated and part of the vision of Vision Zero, I think would make some sense too.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I don't have any other questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Council member?
The 32 million, what does it mostly go towards? Infrastructure, staff? And if we can come back with that,
We'll come
that
back.
would be good to know.
Mhm.
Because my next question is, what are the barriers then to getting more Vision Zero infrastructure implemented? I recently did a bike ride through my district, which was terrifying. And I also did a bus ride. There was a young man whose body was completely broken in my district who was riding a bike. And so just wanting to know, what are the barriers to doing more?
Sure. We can look into the breakdown. I think that's a good analysis for us to do. I don't know if we have that at the top of our heads. But yeah, I think that, our projects can be really varying in cost depending on the treatments that we have. Also, outreach is a big component of telling people about the changes that are coming. And depending on the community, it varies on the resources that we expend. So we'll try to get you some averages, but maybe we can dive down a little bit into your district and what we have done.
And maybe less of more. I guess I'm trying to get to what are the barriers. Like if it's not money because you're fully staffed. What are the barriers to doing more?
I would say one of the biggest barriers that we have is getting the community on board with a lot of change. A lot of times when we come in with, especially signal projects are a little less felt, they kind of just happen and they're a little bit in the background, and we don't do outreach necessarily for those because we just expect people to follow the lights. But in terms of our configuration and projects where we really put things out on the road that change behavior, it does take the community to come along with us. And I think that sometimes we can get a lot of pushback and make trade-offs based on what the community needs and what they're saying to us. We try to be as sensitive as we can, but it really can be the difference of losing a parking space or having a safer intersection, right? So I think that's where a lot of the pushback is. If you want to add on.
Yeah, I think one other thing of note is kind of a physical constraint would be the coordination required with other agencies or the Public Works Department. When we go in and put in a new street design that involves a bike facility, we need to ensure that the pavement is in good repair, and so that often requires resurfacing, which can be a coordination challenge in some cases. Even with signals, we may have funding for signals and we may have engineers to design the signals, but when we put in a new traffic signal or a new pedestrian beacon, we're going to need to ensure that there are pedestrian ramps and ADA accessible ramps on both sides. And that's not something that our department controls. And so we have to work with the Bureau of Engineering on that. So that's
I have a question to go along with that, especially when you talk about signal lights. So if there's barriers and there's challenges in coordination, does the price go up in that amount of time? Because we get one cost, in the inception, and then because we have to wait for the things to occur or coordinate, what does that look like?
Dan Mitchell, Assistant
Hey,
General
Dan.
Manager. I'm happy to address that. So, and this gets to the reason that I stepped to the table is that one of the challenges, one of the barriers that we experience is the capacity of the construction industry to build all that we're putting forward. So, what Lami's described is that we have 61 signal projects going out to bid. That's incredible. That's an incredible number in 1 year. We used to, we maybe had a dozen signal projects that we would build in a year, and we're talking about 5 times that. And we're even putting packages out to bid and not getting any responses from the industry because they don't have the capacity to build more. But when it comes to the improvements, the ADA improvements of ramps at the corners, even those improvements with the changing guidelines to make them even more sensitive to slopes and so forth has driven up the price significantly, so that the cost of the ramps on all 4 corners sometimes is more than the traffic signal improvement itself. Now, those are valuable improvements that we're making, but the Vision Zero program is bearing the burden of that as well. So as far as the time that goes by, it was the question that you asked. We have been coordinating very closely with our partners at the Department of Public Works. They share our priorities for Vision Zero, and they understand that this urgent work that we're doing together. They obviously have a large backlog of ramps that need to be designed and built as well. And they have been exploring different strategies, the Bureau of Engineering and the Bureau of Street Services, to accelerate that. And they have partnered with us so that we can make things happen even faster. So yes, any time that goes by, it could, God bless you, add to the cost. But the primary driver of cost right now is that we're putting so much work into an industry that's already very busy, that we're getting bids that come back much higher than the engineer's estimate.
Can I ask a question? Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you for that, Dan. So there's so I hear that. Has there been a conversation of in-housing that labor? Like, if we gotta wait on the business side to get it together and it's going to take a long time, where's the status of that conversation of us bringing that label internally, or piloting with a union to have the supervisors be our city departments, but the labor be, union members who do construction, who do sidewalks, are on call, like Leuna. They have their labor school up by, what is it, Azusa? And they got people waiting to work and on the list, and they do sidewalks. Just throwing things out there, but is there a conversation moving about trying to figure out if we can internalize this labor?
Well, the department is committed to using department staff to build as much as possible. Right now, the staff that we do have is fully committed either to priority. Our top priority is maintaining the 5,000 signals that we have around the city, but to the extent that we can, building additional improvements. Because our staff doesn't build ramps, primarily our DOT construction staff does work at traffic signals that already have good ramps, and they are busy. Meanwhile, the department is busy trying to recruit and hire and fill vacant positions so that we can take on as much as possible. So it's a yes and. We are doing that. They are building improvements, and on top of that, we have so much more.
Okay. Well, I'd like to explore that more. Because I know it takes us 7 years to fix a sidewalk, and that's another challenge. But if Vision Zero should be not only a priority for DOT, but I know it sounds like Public Works is very much invested. But do they have a Vision 1.0 team? Like, is it a priority internally? And if it's not, then we need to figure that out because they got a whole lineup of other projects that we need done that are outside of Vision Zero. And so I would just like to figure out if we can have that conversation of do your other partners that play such a huge role in actually implementing the infrastructure, if they have prioritized Vision Zero within their own department with a team or a staff member, because it's obviously falling through the cracks and falling to the end of the line
Yeah.
of other priorities. Thank you, Chairwoman. Sorry, team.
Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez. That was a robust conversation about things that you can tell that we really care about. It'll make our city move better. So thank you all. Are there any objections to note in filing the DOT report, or do you want report back on? No objections. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Hutt,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, is there any additional business before the committee today?
Nope, that clears the desk.
Thank you, members, and thank you, members of the public and departments, for a great meeting today.